The Peoples Convoy is heading to Sacramento, California to protest 10 select bills that they feel are in violation of medical freedoms. Hello and welcome to Sweet Home California. My name is Jennifer, and I have been remiss in keeping everybody apprised on what's going on with the Peoples Convoy. I was lucky enough to be able to see them off from Adelanto on February 23rd when they were leaving on their way to DC. Then my mom was able to see them as they arrived at their staging area, which was actually outside of DC in Hagerstown, Maryland. And she was able to get some video for me on that. You can check out my past videos and see when I interviewed my mom talking about the People's Convoy as it arrived in Hagerstown. And so anyhow, I had reported that end of March, so they were there almost a full month, they decided they were going to come back to California because of 10 particular bills that were infringing on freedoms. And as they say, what starts up in California doesn't always stay in California. It often will spread throughout the country, especially the blue states, and then from there it reaches even the federal level. So it affects the red states too when California does something crazy. So I have been doing some videos called California Crazy, where I am focusing in on these 10 bills as well as some other select California Crazy bills that may not have anything particularly to do with the People's Convoy, but I just feel they need to be highlighted. So please make sure you take a look at those, and I will put a link to the playlist in the description so you can see what I'm talking about there. And if you're in California especially, contact your legislators, and if you're outside of California, check your own states and make sure they're not modeling some bill after what California is doing, because it works for the red states. It also works for the blue states, where you get a format for a law, and then suddenly it kind of like spreads like wildfire. And we want to make sure those kind of wildfires get put out here in California before they have a chance to spread. So in any case, I do want to give you all an update on what's going on with the People's Convoy. The best place to find the information is, of course, going to be their Facebook page and their own website. So the official website, Facebook page is the People's Convoy. It looks like this. It's got 335,000 members. One of the biggest things that they are doing right now is they are setting up individual state convoy groups. So they have links where, like, here's the Kentucky one. They've got Tennessee one. So they are setting those up. But in order to make sure that you are on their official page, you will want to make sure that some of the people that are involved in this one is also on that state level one. So, for instance, Chris Young is the one who is like the major organizer of the national page. And I think Mario something is one of the others. I was reading about it, and now I've lost it. But there is some drama involved in this whole setup because, of course, you're talking about trying to organize independent, liberal, freedom-loving, liberal in that sense, not liberal as in the leftist sense, people who are in for individual freedom. So trying to coordinate all of this and have them in groups and trying to have some sort of organization and order, it is stepping on some people's toes, and some feelings are getting hurt, which I really hate to see because, hey, we need to kind of stand together on this. That's one thing that the leftists tend to do very well, is that they do stay together and they present a united front to defeat what they consider their common enemy. And the people on the conservative side don't really do that very well, unfortunately. So I really hate seeing any sort of discord, but, it is what it is. We just got to join together and agree on what we can agree on. And if you are in one of these states that have problems with different mandates, search out to see if they have an official People's Convoy organization that you can join and try and get the word out at the state level, because that's what we really need to do. We need to do this on a state by state level It is so difficult and expensive, I can imagine, to get all of these truckers involved and all heading in the same direction. Again, everybody's independent and freedom loving, and it's kind of like herding cats, I would imagine. So anyhow, they post on here fairly regularly, at least a couple times a day, it seems like. And this is them leaving out of, I think, Banning, which is where they were from when they had the rally in Los Angeles. So they arrived in Los Angeles last week, so that would have been about the 9th or 10th of April. And they had a rally in Los Angeles. And then they had been from last Sunday through this past Saturday, right before Easter, they were hanging out in Banning, which is near Adelanto, not exactly in it, but in that area. And they were just basically recuperating, relaxing, where they didn't have to be driving all the time, because they've been doing a lot of work. They've been driving around all over the place. So they left either Saturday night, early Sunday, to come up to Marysville, which is right outside of Sacramento. So as of right now, they're going to be heading to Sacramento here in a couple minutes, but they were in Marysville, California, which is northern California. And they had a layover between Banning and Marysville. They stayed the night in Fresno, which is where my in-laws used to live for 40 some odd years. My husband's from there. So anyhow, that is their Facebook page. And then the other place that you can go to find out what's going on is their website. Their website is thepeoplesconvoy.org. And front and center, these are the 10 bills that we are looking to defeat. 3 of them have already been tabled. So that is great news. The numbers are all running into each other, so I don't remember exactly which all they were. Check out my playlist, get all the information. The very first one in the playlist, the very first video, I keep a running update of what the individual links are to each video, and also what the current status is. So whether it's tabled or if there's a hearing date, when that hearing date is going to be. I am going to be doing a deep dive into SB 1390. This one's particularly egregious. This one is talking about prohibiting any person or entity from making statements the government deems untrue or misleading by any means, including internet and ads. So I won't talk any more about it in this video, but make sure you look out for it, because I will be doing one on that today. This is where they currently are, is in Marysville, and they're going to be heading to Sacramento, and they plan on being in the Sacramento area, that is the state capital of California, letting the California legislators know that these 10 particular bills are not acceptable, and encouraging people to voice their opposition to that. Now, to talk a little bit about the rally that they had in Los Angeles. This was last Sunday. And I apologize. I know I'm a week late on this. So if you already know everything about it, feel free to skip ahead or go check out my other videos. But for those of you that just don't have time to keep up with it either, and this is new to you, then please listen on. So I'm going to go over 2 different articles that are completely 2 different perspectives on this. So one is from the Epoch Times, which is more neutral, but it is definitely more conservative friendly. And then the other one is from the Rolling Stone, which is definitely from the left perspective. But I believe it's really important that you try and see those opposing views. And so you'll notice when I am reporting on something, I often try to include a left perspective, if not also the right perspective, because if you don't know what it is that they're saying about you, you don't know, the full story. Or at least you don't know what you need to defend against. Not necessarily that it's the full story or the truth, but that, you need to know what it is that you need to guard against or defend against, or if they have a legitimate, truthful gripe against you, that's good to know too, because otherwise how can you correct it and grow, right? So anyhow, one of the things, aside before I get into this, the People's Rally has tried to be nonpartisan throughout. Now, when I was there in Atlanta, there were definitely very, very right-leaning signs. There were things about Biden and Let's Go Brandon and that sort of thing. And because they are trying so hard to keep this as nonpartisan as possible and trying to be inclusive of Democrats as well that are against these mandates. Because believe it or not, there are Democrats who are against these mandates. Again, this is not anti-medical procedure. This is anti-forced medical procedure, if you know what I mean. So there are definitely people who have had the medical inoculations, but they don't want it to be forced on other people. So because of that, one of the things, again, this is where some of these clashes are coming on the Facebook page, that they are trying to be very nonpartisan. So one of the things that, to be part of the convoy now, you have to agree that you are only going to fly state flags and the country flag. You're not going to fly these partisan flags. So keeping that in mind, that is what their stated goal and purpose is, I'll go ahead and talk to you about these two articles. So here's a picture from the Epoch Times. Now, this was a rally that was going on. It was like a 6-hour rally. Like it started, the speakers actually started, I think, sometime around like noon, 1 o'clock, and it went on till like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And you may have seen some photos where there's like hardly anybody there. Well, it was a very long day, and you may have had the band playing right at the very beginning at 11 o'clock, and you might have seen very few people there, and they're like, see, this is terrible, nobody wants to come, this is not important to people in Los Angeles. But once the speakers all started going, then yes, we had thousands of people there, and here is one of the photos from the rally. And definitely a lot more people than some of the other pictures I had seen. All right, so in this article, it's talking about thousands of people packed the Grand Park in downtown Los Angeles on Sunday. This is April 11th, not Easter, of course, to cheer on truckers, doctors, nurses, firefighters, police officers, and educators that are fighting against the mandates. Speakers at the event included dozens of big names in the battle against the mandates, including the lead truckers in the People's Convoy, Brian Brazy and Mike Landis. So we started in California and we're back, Landis said. The convoy had left Atlanta February 23rd and arrived in the D.C. area in early March. The truckers are planning to stay in Southern California for most of the week and then head to Sacramento next weekend in time for a protest on April 18th. So that's where they're heading to right now. Landis said, we won't be too hard to miss, and I hope to see all of you along. Your voices need to be heard. The convoy plans to remain in the Sacramento area for a week or two to let legislators know that we don't like what they're doing, he said. Truckers have joined forces with doctors and are fighting COVID-related proposed legislation in California. Earlier in the day, Landis told the Epoch Times that the People's Convoy is opposed to the tyrannical 10 bills listed on its website. The convoy supports freedom, constitutional rights, human rights, and the God-given rights of the people to choose whether they want to get an inoculation or not, he said. Brian Braze told the crowd that the vaccine mandates are a violation of human rights. So I ask everyone around the world, not just in this nation, to stand up. Now is the time to remind our government and governments around the world that they work for us. And that's been like his tagline throughout, is that they work for us. And when he starts saying that, the entire crowd repeats it or says it along with him. And then Epoch Times journalist said he shouted. And yes, he does. But that's such a negative connotation. And of course they get like the ugliest looking picture that they can of poor Brian here. But yeah, these are not hate-filled. I've watched quite a bit of the videos along the way, and then when I was there, of course, in person on the 23rd, these are freedom-loving people. This is not anything about being negative or hateful at all. The People's Convoy has your back, he said to all the first responders in Los Angeles and across the nation. And then here's a photo of quite a number of different first responders there. The Global COVID Summit, which represents more than 17,000 doctors, came out in force with big names in the battle against mandates, including Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Paul Alexander, Dr. Paul Murek, and several other doctors. Malone told the crowd the fight against the mandates has become a, quote, global war, unquote. The other day I was in Paris and I drove by a little church, he said. It was the Church of St. Augustine, a doctor of the Roman Catholic Church, who famously said, "The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose, and it'll defend itself." This is not just here in the United States. The same things are happening everywhere, in Latin America, Africa, all across Asia, and in Europe, as well as North America, and God save the Canadians, Malone said. And here's a photo of Dr. Malone. Malone criticized California Governor Gavin Newsom for pushing the mandates, claiming Newsom, quote, was trained by the World Economic Forum. "What I've seen cannot be unseen," Malone said. "He must be stopped before he and his party can expand their totalitarian mandates and laws. There is no medical emergency. There is no justification for these laws that the California Democrat Party and the World Economic Forum allies want to push on us." Regarding the inoculations, the science is settled. They're not working to prevent replication, the spread, and they are not completely safe, Malone said. This is a paraphrase. You can click on the link that I will put down below if you would like to have the exact terminology that was used. All procedures have risks. All of us have the right to understand these risks and decide for ourselves whether we willingly accept these risks. To deny this is to deny human dignity. These censorship and propaganda campaigns disrespect us, Dr. Malone continued to say. In an interview preceding his speech, Dr. Paul Murek told the Epoch Times the world has been brainwashed. He said, "The certain procedure do not work. They're neither safe nor effective, and it's about time the American people and the people across the world woke up to the reality that they have been brainwashed. There is no question. This is brainwashing and indoctrination," Dr. Paul Murek said. "Too many hospitals are more interested in money, politics, and control than they are in health care and have become, quote, a dangerous place for sick people, unquote," he said. And this was again Dr. Murek. One father said that his son died just days after receiving the inoculation. And a nurse said that she suffered permanent disabilities. And they're talking about some other doctors that also attended the rally, and it said it lasted more than 8 hours. So that is the view of the Epoch Times. That is their reporting of it. Now, to go on to the Rolling Stone. This is the headline. QAnon, the People's Convoy, and neo-Nazis mingle at the LA anti-vax rally. So let's see what he has to say, because, of course, none of that was talked about in the Epoch Times piece. All right, so this is from Eric Levay of the Rolling Stone. He says, "As a journalist covering QAnon and fascism in Los Angeles, I've seen a lot in the past couple of years. I've seen danger and violence, heard crazy conspiracies and angry confrontations, and tracked a movement as it spirals deeper and deeper into insanity. It has worn on me, and there are things that I've seen I'd like to forget, like people yelling, quote, 'Save our children,' unquote, a chant that drones on and on like an endless scream inside your mind. I went to see it all again last Sunday, April 10th, at a mass anti-vax rally in downtown LA, where the movement faithful gathered for a, quote, 'defeat the mandates' rally at Grand Park near City Hall. The rally, at least in a stated purpose, was a protest against city and county requirements that require most public workers to get vaccinated against a disease that has killed almost 1 million Americans. The rally had a full 6 hours worth of speakers, a mix of local anti-vaxxers with a few national figures, and I thought I was ready for it. But what I witnessed during these hours was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Oh my goodness, poor Eric. Ugh. Yes, don't just report facts. Just give us how you're feeling here. He continues, I saw an unholy dark alliance, best described as festival fascism. in scare quotes, where QAnon, the People's Convoy, and Dr. Robert Malone can fuse together in ways that make them more powerful than they've ever been. While nearly everyone mocked this rally online, and most of the news coverage was fairly mundane, what I saw was a slickly packaged fascist telethon with ominous warnings of what lies ahead. I believe I saw the future of conspiracy movements where the desperate outliers join forces to achieve parallel goals. And then he has this scary picture of all these terrible placards that they have here. All right, continuing on. On a beautiful California afternoon, people screamed, "Lock," and then they have in parentheses, "Fauci up." So I think it was just that they were saying, "Lock him up." Danced to bizarre QAnon pop anthems. I wonder what titles those are. He doesn't say. Political candidates manned booths while people played carnival games. Someone dressed as Batman posed for photographs, and the director of Plandemic was praised as a hero. The People's Convoy, the motorists who did slow laps around Washington, D.C. to protest COVID policies, rolled in and set up shop, blaring their horns until my ears were bleeding. Everything felt strangely boring, an absolute mismatch with the violent froth of extremist ideology, conspiracy, and aggression blaring from the stage. There's some more scary signs there. Finally, midway through the rally, the truth emerged. One of Southern California's most famous neo-Nazis walked up to me and said, "Hey, Eric," and photographed me. There it was. This is the future. Festival fascism, where the various strains of right-wing extremism and conspiracy theory insanity fuse into a movement you never wanted to see but can't get away from. Don't say you haven't been warned. So his whole takeaway boiled down to, "Hey, Eric," and then what he says was a infamous neo-Nazi took a picture of him, and that is supposed to be his defining moment of the entire movement. Don't say you haven't been warned. Oh my goodness. Festival fascism. You know what's fascism? I think fascism is when you have a social media platform that, at the suggestion of the government, censors you. I think that's fascism. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Keep them civil. We are still having to follow YouTube rules, so certain things may have to be moderated, but I will post this also on my Rumble and Locals channel, where you can freely say whatever you would like to. And I will talk to you next time. Please make sure you do like, comment, and subscribe, and follow my California Crazy playlist, and the links will be down below. God bless, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.